I'll start by saying that this isn't a review of Grand Theft Auto 4. I'm pretty sure I've missed the boat on that by a long way. This video is intended simply to say why it's one of my favourite games, and why it'll continue to be. I mean, there's no denying the game has aged horribly both in its mechanics and its graphical standards. Even after adding various mods to improve the visuals or underlying structure, it's nowhere near the top of the ladder. But at least there's some ways of making it playable and less cartoonish. The gameplay leaves a lot to be desired by today's standards. The cars handle like a souped up Zamboni. The gunplay is as accurate as a sloth with a sniper rifle. Flying a helicopter is all but impossible. The AI on everything is terrible. But the reason the game has stuck with me is because it's fun just to exist in the world. Of course, the main storyline was predictable and cliched. Listening to Niko say he was done with the violent life while shooting dozens of bad guys moments later rang pretty hollow. So yeah, it's not its strongest point. But having said that, one thing Grand Theft Auto 4 does have is a strange narrative cohesiveness. If you take the main game and the two DLCs, The Lost and Damned and The Ballad of Gay Tony, they all fit together like pieces of a puzzle. In most games, DLC is treated as an add-on, regardless of the best intentions of the developer. You get a few extra missions, some maps, some extra achievements, and that's about it. In this case, all of the content complements and feeds into the other storylines, proving that it was all planned well in advance. There's an underlying narrative that you don't see until you play the game as a whole. The mission museum piece is where all the stories touch on each other simultaneously. I mean, you essentially play this mission 3 times with each of the protagonists, but they're all following their own thread. I mean, this was brilliant, and it's something I can't recall seeing done in other games, at least not to the same level of integration. It's here you start realising that the underlying story isn't about Niko or Johnny or Louise, but about the path of some diamonds through the hands of various unsavoury characters, and it only comes into focus because of the extra content. One of the best aspects of the game was its ambition. Rockstar aimed to create a living world that seemed inhabited by people rather than NPCs, and although the effect can be hit or miss, they largely succeeded. Today a lot of developers aim for graphical fidelity, but this narrow concentration feels sterile. In this version I'd find myself going on a date just to see the acts of Cat Williams, Ricky Gervais, Bluesy St John. I'll admit that Perestroika was my favourite venue. The terrible support acts were hilarious, and that highlights the extra effort they made in putting stuff into the world. You get the feeling that when you're milling around, just going from place to place, life is happening beyond your vision. Of course, that's not true. You know that technically assets are loading and unloading, and the only part of the city that exists at any point is dependent on what you see, so it highlights the sleight of hand at play. During the recent pandemic, being out and about was a scary prospect, so open world games like this helped with the isolation. I would spin it up and spend hours doing absolutely nothing. In essence, I was a tourist in Liberty City. I like spending time wandering around the streets, buying hot dogs, driving from place to place, following the traffic rules, taking Roman to play pool, just normal everyday stuff. Taking a stroll through Liberty City is never dull, even if you don't instigate any violence. I like the way the people appear to go around their daily lives. They talk on the phone, get into street brawls when a car almost runs them over. There are a lot of different subroutines butting up against each other, and it's why I love it more than, say, Grand Theft Auto 5, where the streets are strangely deserted most times, and the pedestrians that you do meet are either bland or aggressive beyond belief. Simply looking at them is enough to start an argument. I mean, maybe that's been patched out, but I haven't had the desire to go back and check recently. There's something intensely satisfying about your character eating a hot dog while passively watching a pedestrian get into an argument with a cop that nearly ran her over, and the subsequent escalation into either a quick arrest or a gun battle. As an approximation of life, it performs pretty well on that score. One of the best things about the game is definitely the music, and how you can use it to set the mood of your playstyle. This wasn't the first game to license tracks for various purposes, but the sheer amount is staggering and glorious. For me, there's something relaxing about logging on just to drive around the city at night to the ambient radio station, chilling and kicking back. Then as the sun comes up, I can listen to Laszlo, the resident shock jock, in the morning. As lunchtime rolls around, I pick up some heavy rock and finally ease into the evening with some smooth soul. Even the small things like news stories on the internet that update depending on your actions, or the chance encounters with random people to run errands for them. The radio stations and especially the TV shows are great. I'm well aware of the lunacy involved in watching fake TV shows on a fake TV, in a video game, and I spend far too much time watching the in-game shows of the Men's Room or the Space Rangers cartoon. All of the in-game media is satirical, so they're able to get away with a lot more. I mean, at the time it was funny, but with years of distance, some of the barb jabs, especially relating to the war on terror, are starting to look oddly prescient. I mean, it's fun, but it's also kind of scary to think what was once played up as unthinkable has now become the norm. It's a shame that aside from graphical tweaks, open world games really haven't progressed from this archetype. I was looking forward to Grand Theft Auto 5, that it'd be more, but better. Essentially all we got was more but worse. Yeah, the world is better realised visually, but to my mind that's about it. It's taking the Far Cry route with regards to the core game. You have a few good games, then you get a massive spectacle, and after that all the subsequent entries are just tinkering with the mechanics. To say the soul was removed from 5 sounds a bit pathetic, but for me that's how it is. I've played 4 multiple times throughout the intervening decade or so, but I've only played 5 once. But Rockstar seems to have got caught up with the bigger is better philosophy when it comes to map size, and while the last entry is truly impressive in scale, it misses the mark when it comes to characterization or story. One tale is all you get, and if you want more adventures then you go online. That's fine for some people, but not for me. I don't have many wishes to improve the game. The wonky mechanics I can live with, but the lack of building structures is a bit of a sticking point. Nearly all the houses are just boxes with decals plastered on them. You can't use them in any way, and that's a shame. In an era of No Man's Sky where you can fit an entire galaxy into a PC, I'd be hoping that somehow someone would create randomly generated interiors for the apartments. I mean, it's highly unlikely to happen now, especially as each official patch breaks the modding tools, but what the hell, I can dream. Ultimately, none of these problems take away from the central reason why I love the game. I treat it as a destination, somewhere to go to get away from the real world. I'm not saying I don't get bored with just wandering around, talking to NPCs or even running the missions, but it's a shame more games don't try to recreate spectacle or even the mundanity of modern life. Existing in a world within a world is quite satisfying at times, and very few games do it better than Grand Theft Auto 4. I'm sure Rockstar have got big plans for Grand Theft Auto 6. Wherever it's set, when it's set, I don't really think it matters as long as it's a fun place to be. But seeing the way recent things have gone with the microtransactions and the online gameplay, I have a feeling that it won't be a game for me. At least not in the sense that 4 was. So that's me, a fan of Grand Theft Auto 4 and a regular tourist to Liberty City, one of the best metropolises to never have existed. Now, if you'll excuse me, I think I'll go and wander around Middle Park, catch the sun and just relax.